Fast food workers in Burgerville have joined the Fight for 15, an effort to get a $15 minimum wage, what they consider to be a living wage in an area that is becoming increasingly difficult to live in. The cost of rent is going up, the cost of living is going up. And so our political reporter, Chariton, spoke with some of the young activists about what this fight means to them.
We can't survive on minimum wage. I'm struggling every month. I'm going into debt every month. Just having that job, just trying to support myself. Burgerville talks a lot about how they support the environment and they support sustainability, and they care about where their beef comes from. And what we're saying is if you care about your beef, you got to care about your workers.
They're making a lot of money, and I'm not making a lot of money, and my work is what's making them a lot of money.
Sometimes I just don't buy groceries every month, and I live eating a meal a day. Where I have to choose having a house or having an apartment with 2 different roommates and paying my rent over just buying groceries for myself.
It's a struggle to pay my rent every month. It's hard to buy food.
It's not just Burgerville, right? We know this is Burgerville is part of a larger system where paying workers minimum wage is the norm. We're doing this for ourselves because we need it. We're doing it with our coworkers because so many of us need it, but we're also doing it because, there's a whole low-wage economy, and so many people are facing what we're facing. And we see what we're doing as part of a larger vision for a world that focuses on human need instead of the accumulation of profit. And it's about the people at the bottom making that change, because I think that's where change comes from.
A hopeful moment. What would you like to be doing in life? A passion of yours, if money were no object?
Money, I don't know. Money has always been an object.
Right now it's not. Right now it's not. Dream job.
Dream job. Guess I would just like the opportunity to explore that question.
Yeah, I think working in something you're passionate about is a luxury.
That was such a powerful video. Watch the whole thing at youtube.com/TYTpolitics. So first off, I don't live in the area where there are Burgervilles. So different parts of the country have different chains. Burgerville sounds like something out of a movie where it's like a dystopia, and everybody's working at Burgerville. So, but okay, but I say that actually kiddingly, and I mainly mean because I want to say this isn't about Burgerville. That happens to be one particular chain that they happen to be, organizing to make sure that there's a union at. But it's about the whole country, right? To me, the powerful points there were, and in the larger video, some of this you didn't see. He said, "Are you thinking about going to school?" Jordan asked him, right? And he said, "No." And I'll tell you why. It's not like I don't want to go to school. My friends who went to school now have ton of debt, but they're working at the same fast food place I am because there aren't jobs. So at least I don't have the debt that they have. We're both stuck at the same job. So if I went to school, if I thought I was going to get a better job out of it, of course I'd do it. I mean, he's so despondent. I think that's the guy that was 25 years old, if I'm not mistaken. He's so despondent that he hasn't bothered to think of what his dream job would be. And she said it perfectly there at the end. That's a luxury we can't afford. And so this is the America that the David Brooks of the world never see. David Brooks is the New York Times columnist that recently admitted, oops, it turns out I don't talk to any regular Americans. Everybody I know is really rich and comfortable. And so I've been talking to them for the last 20 years. And so I lost track with what was going on. It turns out the country's really angry, and that's why they're going for Trump or Bernie Sanders. Maybe I should talk to real Americans. Well, we've been doing that. Jordan's on the road doing that, right? And so you talk to real Americans and you realize they're getting crushed out there. And so, of course they're angry. It's amazing that the establishment has never seen these guys. And do they really want to fix that? Are they sitting around huddled in a caucus somewhere going, guys, how do we help those three? How do we help them, right? And when I say this, the Chris Matthews of the world get really upset, how dare you? Those are honorable gentlemen, right? And they got into politics because they care. And, no, there used to be a time where some people got into politics because they care, right? But now everybody who got into politics...
Even then they were rich.
No, I understand that, right? And there were at least some honest people, Paul Wellstone, and then you go back actually in the 1960s, There were a lot of honest politicians, some corrupt ones throughout time, of course, right? But back then it was hard to be corrupt. You had to do things illegally. Now we legalize the corruption. So when the honest people get into politics, they lose because the guy with more money wins 95% of the time. So the system self-selects those who care about the donors and don't give a damn about the three people you just saw and the millions, tens of, hundreds of millions of people they represent throughout the country.
But you have to imagine that Hillary Clinton is going to be all over that because they're talking about like theoretically going to school, theoretically having a better job. But there are so many barriers between them and that job. She just wants to break down those barriers. So I'm sure that she's going to campaign for them and go for $12, which is not enough.
Hey, Alan Simpson of all people, I reported on my show. He was talking and he said, if you keep telling these people on minimum wage that you can't afford to give them a raise, stop publishing your quarterly profits because they can see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the people who are generating millions and millions of dollars of profit every quarter for their fast food company, they maybe should share in some of those profits. That's Alan Simpson saying that.
Yeah, and so don't get us wrong. We're not against profits, okay? We understand how the system works, and we know that you want to motivate people to create the best restaurant they can. But don't pretend you can't pay them more. You can. You're just choosing not to pay them more. And one of the ways that you enforce that choice on everyone else is you legally bribe politicians in the form of campaign donations, and you say, don't you, under any circumstance, raise the minimum wage. So that's why the national minimum wage right now is $7.25. We're having theoretical conversations about $15, and some progressive cities have passed that. Yeah. But nationally, it's $7.25. How in the world can you live on that? And the reality is that you can't. But there was a great clip from a Republican congressman. They were asked, hey, can't you raise the minimum wage? Like, isn't that something you should do to look out for your own constituents? You're supposed to be their representative. You're supposed to represent them. And he said, oh, well, then why don't they go get a job? But they do have a job. They are working hard. But in the minds of the powerful, you're all bums. Doesn't matter if you're working hard. Doesn't matter if you have two jobs. You didn't give me a donation. Yeah. I'm not giving you a donation. Sorry, I'm not going to do anything for you because the guys with all those record-breaking profits are the ones that sign my paychecks.
Yeah.
So look, I'm going to mention Wolfpack here because that's how you get the money out, right? Wolf-pack.com. Join, fight, be with us, etc. But this is, but I don't want you to get the wrong idea. You fight in any way you like, okay? And here, those young people out there are like, look, we're going to unionize because then at least together we're stronger, and then we'll have some leverage. So they can't push one of us around. They can't fire one of us, right?
Yeah.
If we're all together, then at least we'd have leverage to get a little bit better wages. They can clearly afford it. The reason they're not doing it is because we're not forcing them to do it. So fight any way that you want. One way to do it is get the goddamn money out of politics so they go back to representing us. Yeah. And yes, that time did exist in America. Wolf-pack.com. Do whatever you want. You want to give, donations so that we can hire more people, which we desperately need to hire more people to have this fight. You want to volunteer? Bless your heart. Let's do it because we all got to do it together. All right, and check out more of this reporting, including more of that video at youtube.com/TYTpolitics.